This is Rebekah Ricks, and I'm here with the Homeschool Connection and the Brew, and I had an appointment with my husband that I couldn't miss, so I decided to just live stream from the car today to get it done. But don't worry, I got my seatbelt on and my handy dandy coffee mug, and so we're good to go. So last time we talked, we were talking about reading, and we were talking about the 3 or 4 basic, depending on who you talk to, types of reading or parts of reading. So just to review really fast, and then we'll go through it again. There's phonemic awareness or phonics. You know, phonemic awareness is what we started when they're young to make sure they know their sounds and what sound it is. And then we have phonics, which we really want to base to make sure they read phonetically. And then you have fluency, which is starting to read. And then on top of that, you can build some vocabulary and spelling and comprehension. So today I was going to kind of go through really quick a reading assessment that I do just to see what, what I use, what I like to use, and different things. And before we started, I had to share 2 things I forgot to share yesterday. When you are trying to build vocabulary, I have found this really awesome. This is the set of flashcards. It's SAT words in a flash, okay? And there's a book too. You can do the book, you can do whichever. I kind of like the book because I make copies of the pages and use them as coloring pages and different things. Basically, they're our most used vocabulary words for the SAT and ACT, but it has these really awesome little pictures, cartoons on it, to help you remember it. So this word is braggart, and the picture is brag art. So they have a little picture, so you have a visual, usually a funny little cartoon to help you remember the word. And the brag art expedition of braggart art. Okay, and then on the back it talks about what is a braggart. It's somebody who's a boaster. Mandy's mom turned into a bit of a braggart after her daughter made the all-state soccer team. So it has some sentences on the back to help you with it. But I like it because I think if you're going to do some vocabulary, these are the top words that are on the SAT and ACT to build vocabulary. But I find that the pictures are kind of funny. I think they're amusing. Let's see, let's pick one more here. This is innovation, and it has a picture of an innovation, a real innovation for this innovation. And then they have like people saying, yay, that's a great idea. You know, an innovation is a change or something new. So this helps. I know it says for SATs and ACTs, but I think they work really great with middle schoolers, elementary kids. If you're looking for a good resource for vocabulary, do 5 of these a week and do a little 5 vocabulary. A lot of things are based on this. There's some books on it. This version is Barron's, but all the test prep companies pretty much have one. So I really like these. I think this is funny. And then I also had to share. I brought this to share. We were talking about read alouds yesterday, and this is a really good read aloud series that a lot of people don't know about, but it's one of my, I really like it. The Mysterious Benedict Society, and you can see it's a little bit thick, especially for younger kids. It's about a 4th, 5th grade level, so for 2nd, for 3rd, but 4th, 5th grade, one of my favorite, the Mysterious Benedict Society, and I've done it with older too. So there are little, there's lots of stuff, you can go online and download it, but basically they're kids that are orphans, and they're part of this mysterious society for this other guy that's trying to take over the world. And of course he's doing it by using children to take over the world. And there's 5 or 6 books in this series. They're all pretty hefty, but the best part is there's always little and of course they're geniuses in different ways. Like the one girl, she's like really good at flipping through the air and doing all kinds of stuff like that. And then there's somebody who's really smart, and there's somebody who can memorize stuff. So each of them have like a different thing that they bring to the team, but there's always little like puzzles and things you can do, and usually online you can find puzzles that they can try to figure out beforehand. So I really like it as a read aloud for younger kids. Oh look, my thing is falling out. This is my awesome bookmark from Antique Archaeology. Somebody brought that back for me. I haven't actually got to go, but it'll be in there. So I like these. I just started, I hadn't read them before, was the series of Unfortunate Events, but those were really good, and I didn't realize when I was reading them that they come with vocabulary lists. She uses a lot of big words and says, and that means, So I thought that was a really cool resource. 2, I've only read the first one. I haven't invested yet in all of them, but I've heard that they are quite good. And the first one I was rather impressed. I liked. It was fun. Here we go, a student assessment. So here's what I start with personally. You can find this anywhere, and maybe I will get this typed up and put on the blog for y'all in a PDF. This is just a regular word list. So here's how it goes. It starts with 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and goes all the way up to 9th and 10th. All right, so here's what we're looking for. We want them to be able to read these words quickly, easily. I stop them. So this isn't a true grade level anything, but I want to make sure that they can read these words out of context, okay? A lot of time kids can read words in context, but sometimes when they see them out of context, they can't. And I always start with the easy ones because they're easy. So you can make your own list. You can find a list. This is just a list that I use. I've added some to it because I like it. So the first row from the 1st grade words are tree, book, plane, because we want to be able to have phonics and add suffixes. The next is clock, think, dream. 4th grade, thirsty, postage, ceiling. And then we're getting into like a 4th grade, attractive, smolder, diseased. We want to make sure they can break down. I call them chopper words, words that can be chopped down. Audience, choir, siege. And then we're getting up to some harder, bigger words. Kernel, which is a very specific, you have to know what that word is. Classification, conscience, and then we're getting into some 8th grade words. Antique, scintillate, terrestrial, and then on up statistics, evangelical, metamorphosis, idiosyncrasy, bibliography. So really the whole point is I want them to be able to recognize, know these words. We call that fluency, be able to read them. Then I do what's called a nonsense word list, okay? This is a dibble. It's called Dibble, D-I-E-B-L-E. You can find them anywhere. I've just typed it up to make it prettier and work for me. A Dibble nonsense word list. Okay, so nonsense words, words that are not real. Can they read phonetically? Blat, yacht, sheg, smend, S-M-E-N-D, long bellows, S-O-T-E, sote, hoop, and then I get to other words that have other sounds like D-O-I-T, doit, P-O-R-T-H, porth, and then some multi-syllable words like in R-I-G-F-A-B, rig-fap, lophum, and usually I enjoy this because I'll be like, what do you think a lophum looks like? And then we can talk about that. And it's always interesting to me because everybody comes up with something really different on these words. So they're nonsense words. They're not real words. This helps me to know if they are word memorizing or they can actually sound words out. For younger kids, I would do this. This is an auditory discrimination test. Okay, and I'll say the word bad and dad. Are those words the same or different? Some kids can't tell that they're different. If they can't, then they have a little bit of an auditory discrimination. We need to go back to their phonetic awareness and fix it. Buff and bus, are those words the same or different? Watch, watch, are they the same or different? And if they're not sure, then they probably can't hear the sounds, because remember, reading is an auditory skill, not a, we think of it as anything else, but if they can't hear the sound, they can't see the sound and think the sound in their head. So I do an auditory discrimination test. I do this for everyone. This here is a decoding test, your sounds. You would be surprised at how many kids can read phonetically, but they say their sounds wrong. For example, B. A lot of kids add to it, so buh. So if you had bad, it's bad. So they're adding an extra sound in there, so it's not buh, it's buh. Okay, it's not ka, it's k. So if you have C-A-T, they think that the C is ka, cat. Okay, so they're adding an extra sound in there. So I just want to make sure, I call it pure sounds, make sure their sounds are pure. They can't do it. And then I like to check some sh, ch, qua, some digraphs to see if they know them. Ooh or oi, different things like that. Make sure they can. The AR, R, IR, or, make sure they know the or sounds, different things like that. You can pull down a Burton reading test offline too. This is just another one, a little bit harder to make sure. And then depending on their grade level, I will, again, if they are having a hard time, are they same or different, I'll do a phonetic awareness test, like the sounds map, or cat. What's the first sound in cat? K, not ka. K. Or giraffe, what's the first sound? J. Plum, what's the first sound? It's not pull, it's p. Plum, because there's 4 sounds. Then I do the middle sound in words, like run. What's the middle sound? So they tell me middle sound. What's the middle? Man. What's the middle sound? And they have to go. And usually for younger readers, just to make sure that they can hear it, I do final sounds like run. What's the last sound? N. Or save. What's the last sound? V. I just want to make sure that they can hear the sounds, that they have phonetic awareness. So I have a sheet for that with some words written down that I want to do it. And then depending on their grade, I will print out some sort of one for them. K-12 has grade assessments on there. There's lots of different ones you can use. This checks your word recognition, fluency, and comprehension. I ask them questions. I see how many words they can read in a minute. You can also use word lists for this. Now, if it is an older child, and I love this. By older, I mean, 4th, 5th grade on up. And I use this all the way up through high school. This is one of my favorite things in the whole world for reading. It is on my handy dandy iPad here, and I don't know if you can see. And it is actually an app called Aloud. It is a speed reading app to help them, up their speed. But here's the thing I love about this. It has at the bottom, you can speed test, okay? So I always do I hit the little speed test, and it has easy, I don't know if you can even see, so I might just have to tell you, Aloud, it has easy, medium, and hard passages. And then they can read the passage, and you can, and then there's questions afterward. And then it pulls up a thing that says they read this many words a minute, and this is what their comprehension is. I love it for comprehension. Then you can go train. Okay, so here's the best thing. If you are having someone who either is a really slow reader or is having a hard time with fluency, a lot of times I'll give them to this, because the easies are about 4th grade level. The mediums I find are 6th to 8th, and the hards are about 10th grade level. And I'll try each of them. If they're really having a hard time with comprehension, it'll show up on this. Comprehension is kind of hard to fix. I mean, I think it's the hardest thing to fix, because some people don't see it like a picture in their head. Most kids who don't like to read because they don't see it like a movie in their head. That's why when you do read alouds, they can start to see it. There's actually a little part of our brain, it's a muscle in our brain, we have to work to be able to do that. And there's lots of different strategies for doing that. But I think this shows it up. This also helps if you're a slow reader. So when I was growing up, I'm dyslexic. I switched words and letters around, and so I was taught to read a sentence or a phrase at a time. So instead of seeing the house is black, I see the houses. So I have